everyone, and Happy New Year. I hope you have all had a very nice festive period. Today, you join me with the complete series of the American Eco Pond. In this video, we'll be taking a look back through the whole scaping process, adding the fish, as well as just a glimpse of what has happened over the last 2 years with this. This project has really been a passion of mine, and I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to be quite sad to start taking it down. But as all good things come to an end, they make way for new possibilities. So we will be setting this back up, as well as I do have some larger ones that I am going to be wanting to set up as well. Once I move into the new house, which, if you haven't heard, I am moving out. I'm getting my own place, so there'll be more space for more projects, and I'm really excited about that. But if you haven't seen that, there is a video about it. It's just called I Have an Update. So search it up on the channel, go take a look, and it'll explain why I haven't really been uploading as much content as I would like. But anyway, let's take a look at what's happened through this last 2 years with this brilliant little pond, and what has really happened. And welcome to another HW-Aquascaping video, or should I say pondscaping. Today we're going to be looking at this lovely Blagdon Affinity pond. This is the half moon in the smallest size, so I think it's about 133, 135 litres. So yeah, a really nice little decent size for what I'm planning to do today. So the aim of this is to basically be a really nice little sort of nature pond. There's going to be no filtration as sorts. There is a little solar pump that I'm planning on putting in here just to create a little bit of water flow, but other than that, generally the plants are going to be the filtration in here. It's plenty big enough for the fish that I've sort of chosen to be the feature of this pond, and I'm hoping that it's going to come together really nicely. So I'll take you through today's build video, which is going to be doing the hardscape for this. As you can sort of see a sneak peek in the left hand corner, I'm using some really nice rocks, and we're going to put some wood in there as well. And yeah, I'll just take you through how I'm planning on doing this nature pond, and how hopefully it will be really effective going forwards. So let's get to the building. So this is the inside of the pond itself. As you can see, it is a little bit on the grubbier side. I've tried to clean it down the best I can, but this is sort of how I'm stuck with. I basically should explain, this is not a brand new product. It is secondhand, and it was acquired as a ex-display item in an aquatic store. So it's just going to be how it's going to be, but you know, my whole aim of this is hopefully to be a really affordable setup, really, you know, something that's going to be inexpensive and hopefully really easy to replicate for you at home. So my plan is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the pond soil off of the plants that I bought, so it's sort of giving you a bit of a sneak peek into the plants that I've acquired, and I'm going to use that as a base layer to put the rocks on, because I didn't want the rocks to go right on the bottom of the liner, but also pond soil, if it leaks into too much into the water column, it will just dirty up the place. So I'm thinking put it right at the bottom, and then this is going to be capped with gravel and sand, as well as the rocks and the wood and everything. So there shouldn't be any pond soil getting onto into the water column. So that will hopefully solve that issue, as well as providing a nice little sort of soft cushioning area to place my big hardscape. So it's a win-win, really. So as you can see, I've just stripped all the pond soil off of the plants, and that's now down at the bottom, so it's not too thick. It's sort of around about, I'd say, a couple of centimetres, you know, nothing too major, but will provide a really good home for the nutrients and the plant roots to delve down and get those nutrients as well. So yeah, I think now it's time we'll move on to the hardscape. So what I'm planning on using here is some really large slate that I've acquired. It's really inexpensive. This, you can get it from most garden centres. You know, slate is aquarium safe. So these rocks, you know, if you were to pay in an aquatic store where they usually do it by weight, you'd probably be looking about 50 quid a rock. Whereas these rocks cost around about sort of, I think it's £4.50 each from the garden centre. So, you know, that's a win-win, really. I mean, works out perfectly for what I want. But yeah, I got some really nice sort of shapes, colours, contrasts. So what I'm trying to replicate is sort of like, an American sort of slow moving creek. So I'm gonna have the plants, the wood, and hopefully that'll all come together as a really nice setup for the fish, because as I say, the fish are going to be an American themed temperate pond. So we're going to have lots of different species in there from America. And I've got this really nice piece of bogwood. I've actually been holding on to this since Christmas in 2020. Actually, before that, I think might have been November. Um, but uh, but yeah, I've been sort of toying around with ideas for this, and I want to keep it really simple. So I've made just like a really nice retaining wall to go on there, and the wood's just going to sit and poke up the top. You'll see me through the setup. Alfie's in the background as well. But through the setup, you'll probably see me remove this piece of wood every now and again, because although I've got it sort of in its position that it's going to be, to sort of get to the back to do what I need to do for the time being, it does need to be removed. So it's going to be put back in sort of throughout the setup. So now in here, what you won't know, over sort of the last, well, however long I've been doing YouTube now, all these scapes that I've dismantled, so that is the bonsai scape, the freshwater reef, and the baryonyx river. I have saved all the aqua soil, the sand, the gravel, and it has all gone into here. It's been dried out first, and then it's all gone in here, and I've been saving it because I knew I was going to do this project at some point. And I've been hopefully, wanting to use it, recycle it. Again, obviously, making things less expensive because I'm recycling good aqua soil. There's nothing wrong with this. And I'll also be using on the left, as you can see here, some pond gravel, and on the right, just some pea gravel. That's all this is. 20mm pea gravel, so it's really big sort of size pebbles. And this will be used as a really inexpensive way. I mean, these bags are really not expensive at all. They're sort of like a $5 a bag from any garden centre. But the symbol that you can see, or you might not be able to see, but I'll tell you what it is. The first symbol on the left hand side, it means it's aquatic safe. So it's perfectly fine to go in with fish. And that'll be used as the base layer sort of to go in the retaining wall, just to pack it out a bit so I don't have to use as much aqua soil in there. So obviously, yeah, I'm recycling my aqua soil, but it will help me be able to spread it a lot further. So I'm going to pack this in first, and then I'm going to put the aqua soil and the sand and everything that's all recycled on top of that. That'll give more nutrients to the plants that are going in there. And then once the plants are in, I'm going to cap that all off with the pond gravel. So it should make it a really inexpensive way of doing it, and should look quite effective once it's done, and hopefully work well for the plants. So as you can see, going to pack this in with the gravel first, put the aqua soil on top, and then we're going to move on to the front bit, which I'll be using this again. You probably seen me use this sand a few times. It's purchased from Mainnet Aquatics. I've had this quite a while. I've used it in the bonsai scape and the Asian Peninsula scape that I've done. I really like the colour, and the main reason I'm going to use this one is because I really like the ADA Colorado sand. Just ADA products, as nice and high quality as they actually are. For this scape, obviously I'm trying to lower expenses, and it's really expensive for sand. Effectively, I'd like to use it in an aquarium one day, but for what I want to use, I think this looks quite similar to the Colorado sand. So this is what I'm going to be using, and my idea is I'm going to put this at the front, and then transition into the pond gravel, and hopefully I'm going to plant some carpeting plants in the foreground, so they'll sort of go straight into the sand, and it'll keep them nice and plugged in. So yeah, that is my plans really for the escape. But I'm thinking it's going to look really nice as sort of like a riverbed. Even though the fish don't come from Colorado, it's kind of going to be all American based. So yeah, it should look quite good. But as you can see, going to pack it all in at the front. I did actually end up using the rest of the bag, which was sort of about like 3/4 of the bag. But again, as you can see, it's packed in quite nicely there. We've got quite a deep foreground layer to plant my carpeting plants in. And at the back, you can see as it sort of transitions up back into the recycled aqua soil, that is quite a deep retaining wall. It may not look it from the top, but A lot of the marginal plants that I'm going to be planting in here can't go any deeper than 15 centimeters. So on the left side, I worked out it is about 15 centimeters, and it sort of lowers to about 20 on the right hand side. So it's quite a nice sort of like, gradual slope, but all the plants will be fine. I've got a few plants that can go in 40 centimeter depth and still be fine, but the way it's packed out, they'll be perfectly fine in that depth as well. And it'll create a really nice sort of like shallow area with lots of pebbles as well. So if there is any spawning from the fish as well, hopefully they'll be able to deposit their eggs in the plants and they won't get eaten. And who knows, we might have some breeding action going, but you never know. So here we are, the hardscape is complete, sort of. Obviously, the recycled aqua soil at the back still needs to be capped with the pond gravel, but I can't do that until the plants have gone in. And even though the scape looks very simple, I'm really happy with how it sort of turned out. I mean, it does look a lot better once the plants are in, granted, but for now, I'm really happy with how that's turned out. And obviously, I keep on sort of going on about this being inexpensive, but it actually is. Like, it doesn't cost a lot to do this. You could sort of build things up over time. And sort of the whole point of this pond is to be sort of like, more environmentally friendly. It's going to be running off of a solar pump, and it's, recycled materials. So it should be really good and hopefully a really nice little project to go. But moving on, this is the pump I'm going to be using. As you can see, Alfie is in the shot again. Obviously, it's been really hot here in the UK, which is why I'm sort of doing this project now, because it's the perfect time to do it. Nice sunny weather, perfect thing to do for is a solar pump. So I'm going to be using a Blagdon Liberty solar pump. Basically, what this is a solar panel that has a battery backup. So if it goes cloudy for like a moment or two, it relies on its battery power that it's sort of charging up over the time, which can last about 6 hours. So it has a few different settings on there, but I'll not get into that now. I'll do a full sort of unboxing video of this product if you want to know more about it. But what I'm going to be doing, sort of, is I'm going to put some Seachem matrix in its little sort of casket that I'm going to put it in, to sort of try and make a makeshift filter. I mean, like, obviously, I know oxygen needs to be going over it, but it will provide some home for beneficial bacteria as it starts going in there. So it'll hopefully try and keep the water relatively stable when the fish go in there. But yeah, I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. So the Blagdon Affinity pond comes with a little planter at the back for marginal plants, because as you see, unless you're doing what I'm doing here, the pond actually just goes straight down, which I think is about 60 centimeter depth. So yeah, you won't really be able to plant most marginal plants at that depth. So they give you these little planters. But what I've decided to use it for is a makeshift filter housing. So as you can see, I put the pump right down at the bottom, and then I've just basically chucked a whole litres worth of Seachem matrix in there. And this is what it looks like. So that's going to sit in there and hopefully build up a little bit of some form of beneficial bacteria to hopefully keep the water stable and act as like a makeshift filtration system for when the solar pump is on. It's why I've purposely positioned the pond where it is, because the patio gets sun from, well, in the height of summer, which we're more or less in now. It gets sun from around about sort of, I'd say 9:30 in the morning, right through until probably 5 in the evening, close to that, before it sort of just peaks behind the rest of the house. But it is a real sun trap. So granted, yeah, I'm probably a little bit worried about algae going in the pond, but I've got a few tricks to sort of hopefully combat that. But I'll tell you about that at a later time. But yeah, so it should hopefully power the solar panel really efficiently. It's one of these things that I really sort of have a passion for, is trying to be as ecological as possible. I love like David Attenborough documentaries and things like that, and I just think that's like we should be doing as much as possible to have less impact and become closer to nature. as such. So obviously all these plants and things will be, even though it's a small pond, they will be using CO2 from our atmosphere. So again, doing our little bit, if everyone sort of plants like one tree, we do our little bit, don't we? But I'm not sort of ramble on about stuff like that. I'm not like a full-on eco warrior. I just think that we should try and connect more with nature, and I think aquascaping as a hobby does do that. But yeah, it should be a really nice little pond once this is up and running. And my plan is basically to run a little pipe off the top of the fountain, or the pump, should I say? It is meant to be a fountain, but I'm just using it for the pump itself. I'm going to run it's got like a flow regulator on there just in case it is too powerful, but I don't think it's going to be too powerful anyway, but it's there if I need it. But yeah, I'm going to run a little pipe off the top of that, and that will go over the top of the wood once I've got that back in there, and I'm just going to find like a little bit to wedge it in. That'll be quite nice to create a nice little cascade, and hopefully it looks really effective. So here we are after my sort of little rambling tangent of how to be green and all that. We're here at the final product for the hardscape of the pond. I'm really happy, as I said, with how the hardscape turned out. I'm kind of excited about the future of this. It's been something I've been wanting to do really since last year, but unfortunately I didn't have all the pieces together at the time. I acquired the pond at the end of pond season, so it was going into winter. So doing what I wanted to do for this, and keeping sort of temperate aquarium fish inside it, it wasn't going to work as like a full-time winter project. So therefore I've had to sort of set it up now. I would have hoped to have set it up a lot earlier, but here in the UK we've had such a weird start to the year. Like around Easter time it was really hot, and then it went really cold, and then now we're back into a really nice heat wave. So I thought, what a perfect time to get it started. But we'll be doing the planting next. Today we're back with the Blagdon Affinity pond, and today we're going to be doing the planting for this scape. But before we get to that, I kind of just want to go back onto what I was saying in the hardscape video about the themes of this setup being ecological and budget friendly to anyone wanting to recreate it. A Blagdon Affinity pond is a rather expensive piece of kit were you to buy it brand new. You're looking about sort of £250 to £300 to purchase one of these brand new. Obviously, I didn't do that. It is a second hand one, so I didn't pay anything really near to close to what it's meant to be at a full retail price. But this scape could be achieved in anything that holds water. It could be like a large tub. You could use a bath if you really wanted to. If you got like an old bath that you're throwing out and you wanted to make a pond in it, a half barrel, a large plant pot, anything that can sort of hold water. Doesn't have to be one of these. But enough about that. Let's get onto the planting, shall we? So here are the lovely plants that I've acquired to do the pond build with. As you can see, I've got quite a lot to choose from to pack it out with, and hopefully, I'm hoping that this will stage away from the water going pea soup green. Obviously, in a lot of ponds, they tend to have UV filtration systems to stop this from happening, but I'm hoping the excessive plants in there will do the job from sapping away the nutrients so that algae won't be able to form. If it's starting to go that way, I'll just do a big water change and I'll add a lot more plants to the build until I get the balance right. But what I'll do is I'll read the list of names of the plants off so you know which plants are which, and I'll do that from left to right. So starting from the left, we've got some carex muskingumensis, some acorus calamus, some butomus umbellatus. We've got some schizostylis coccinea major. We've got some nymphoides peltata, some bacopa caroliniana, some hydrocotyle vulgaris, And then we've got, in the little pot in there, we've got some, what is trapa, which is basically water chestnuts. So they're a really interesting plant. They're like a floating plant. And as it sort of gets down to autumn time, they'll sort of drop a nut down to the bottom and grow up to the surface again. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically washing away all the excess soil I couldn't get off when I used it to pack out the bottom of the pond. I'm doing this basically just because I don't want this excess nutrients to get into the water column. So I'm rinsing off as much as possible in order to prevent this from happening. As well as it helps to sort of, break the plants up and make them a lot easier to plant, essentially. But as you can see, it's quite messy work, but what I'm doing from left to right. So the carex and the schizostylis, they want to be planted at no deeper than 15 centimetres. So that's why I planted them at the left-hand side, which is a bit higher up. And the acorus and the butomus, that can go at a depth of 40 centimetres. So they're going to be really good in the sort of the deeper point of it. So as you can see, I planted those in, and I've then capped that with the pond soil. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to plant the bacopa. I'm basically putting that in the area where the aqua soil that's underneath the pond gravel. Basically just to attempt to stop that from falling down if the fish do disturb anything. And then I put a carpet of the hydrocotyle at the front. So that should hopefully plant out all the way at the front of that and create a nice little sort of green meadow of hydrocotyle, which would be really nice. So this is the pipe that I'm going to be using for the little solar pump that I've got in there. I've actually sort of put the wood round, bent it round, and then I've sort of attached it in this sort of little notch that is in the just naturally occurring in the wood, basically. I haven't cut it off yet, just because I wanted to show you how it looks at the moment. But yeah, what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to chop that off, and I'll fill the pond up, and we'll see what it looks like once it's all full of water. So as you can see, I filled up the pond and it's a little bit murky, but that'll all settle down. It's probably my fault for not rinsing any of the gravel, but it will all settle down. So what I'm doing now is I'm just testing the flow of the pump, just to make sure it's not too powerful, but as my thoughts, I didn't think it would be. So that is a perfect flow. I'm just going to have that on a 100% flow all the time. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chop the clear pipe as close as I possibly can to the wood. Try and conceal it the best I can, but for the time being, if I can see it a little bit, I'm not going to be that bothered, because as the plants grow in throughout the summer, they'll conceal it anyway. So as you can see, I'm just going to chop it here, and then what I'll do is I'll just push that a little bit back from where it is now. It's just for testing, but where I've positioned it now is literally you can't see it from this angle at all, and it just trickles down the wood. So I really like where it is now. But yeah, this is just a little bit too forward at the moment, so I do push that back, as you see, in a second. It'll go back even further than that. I had a bit of play around with it when the cameras weren't running, but it'll go back as further than what it is right now. It's from the angle that you see here, you can't see the pipe at all, but as I say, once the plants grow in, it'll look really effective. But yeah, I'm really liking the trickles so far. This is a really nice little cascade, and that'll dampen the wood. I'm tempted to put some moss from around the garden on the wood, but let me know what you think. And here is the water chestnuts. What I'm thinking here is I'm just going to wedge this in this sort of little outcrop of branch. I think that'll look quite effective. But yeah, let me know what you think on the moss front. Do you think I should put some moss all over the wood, or do you think I should leave it to naturally occur, or shall I just leave the wood as a nice little centre point? I mean, obviously once the plants grow in, they'll be quite bushy around it. So I'm thinking maybe just leave it as it is, and it'll sort of like break up the contrast between the bright greens of the plants. Who knows? But I want to know your thoughts on that. So drop that down in the comments below. But I'll leave you with some cinematics of the final build. So it's literally the next day, and as you can see, the water is crystal clear in the pond. So that is brilliant. And I've been out today to basically go and buy some live Daphnia. Now, if you didn't know live Daphnia, like what live Daphnia does in nature ponds, it basically eats algae that causes your water to go like pea soup green. So if that starts forming, these little guys will get on it. I've got quite a few bags, but another great thing is Daphnia, over the course of its time, it breeds every 8 days, and they have around about 30 young each. So they'll also be providing a service of eating the algae, but also as a food source for the fish once they go in there, as well as obviously all the other flies and things that will be laying their eggs and things in here. And it's essentially going to be a very minimalistic approach to the pond. Now, the downside is, yes, I've already picked the species out because with them being temperate aquarium fish, it's there's not many available in terms of species here in the UK, especially from North America. So the species of fish that will be going in the pond are green swordtails. And granted, if you do look them up, naturally they come from Mexico. However, there are feral populations pretty much everywhere in the world, maybe barring like Africa and obviously Europe, but mainly in Asia, but also North America, in Florida and places. There are feral populations from where people have released them into the wild. I'll be using American flagfish in here as well. A really nice little sort of, they're a killifish, but they also eat string algae. And the main sort of centerpiece fish will be rainbow shiners, which are a really attractive fish, sort of becoming quite popular now here in the UK. And they're a really attractive fish. Males get really nice bright blue colorations when they're in the breeding season, which is sort of like at the height of summer. And the females are sort of really nice, just red colour. But You know, I know normally I ask in the comments, what fish would you like to see, but obviously I've already picked them. But what I would like to know is, if you were to do the pond and stock it with fish, what would you put in it yourself personally? So drop that down in the comments below. But yeah, we're coming towards the end of the video, so I hope you've enjoyed it. And as you can see here, takes a couple of attempts, but Alfie's had a little operation. He's basically had a cyst removed from his eye and on his back, so he's not feeling too great. So if you're not leave a like for the video, leave a like for him. In this video, we'll be going back to the American Creek Eco Pond that's in Blagdon Affinity Pond. And it's been set up around about 2 weeks at the point of this filming, and I think we're ready for some fish to be added. So I'm going to go down to my local aquatic centre and purchase some fish. So the fish that I'll be adding in today's video are these guys, which are green swordtails. I think they're quite a highly underrated fish because on the outside they don't really look that colourful, but when you look quite up closer they have got a really nice sort of green shimmery colour with bits of red, and the males have either a sort of, you know, orangey colour or a really nice neon green stripe going down their swordtail. So yeah, I think they'll suit the pond really nicely. So I'll get the guys to get me some out and I'll show you them when they're in the bag. So I've got the guys here to get me 6 individuals out. I think that'll be a perfect number to put in to start with. So I've got 1 male and 5 females. And yeah, hopefully these guys will make a really nice addition to the pond. But what I'll do now is I'll get them to wrap them all up for me, and I'll meet you back at the pond when we release the fish in. So I've just got back to the pond, and the little solid pump's pumping away there, so we've got really nice oxygen flow ready for them to go in. And yeah, it's a really nice sunny day here. You know, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is back in the summer, so a bit late in terms of editing this video, but here are the fish, and I'm going to float them in now, give them a chance to temperature acclimate, as well as get used to the water parameters here at home. But as you can see, they're a lot more colourful in the daylight than they were in the actual aquarium. So yeah, hopefully these are going to make a really nice addition to the pond. But yep, I'll leave them to temperature acclimate, and we'll come back once they're all ready to go in. So the fish have been temperature acclimating for around about 30 to 40 minutes. I've tipped them into some of the pond water and disposed of all the bag water. It's just something I like to do. You know, I trust my shops completely, otherwise I won't buy livestock, but it's just something I personally like to do. So let's get them in and they can be exploring their new home, and I'll show you a bit of cinematic once they're in. there we go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of cinematic, especially the underwater viewing. I think it's the big benefit of having a Blagdon Affinity pond is that I can get sort of top views as you would like a normal pond that you would see in somebody's garden. But with the added viewing windows in the sides, I can get underwater views just like I would an aquarium. So yeah, I really am enjoying this pond so far, especially now it's got some livestock in it. They are still settling in. It's one of those things. Unfortunately, in an aquarium, I would just turn the lights off and leave them off until the next day. But yeah, unfortunately with this, I can't really do that because it's outside. So we're in the height of summer at the moment. So unfortunately, I can't really turn the sun off. But I did add the fish towards like the later end of the day. So I think it was about 5 o'clock at this point. So not too much to go until darkness, but I'm sure they'll settle in just fine. And yeah, I'm thinking today we'll just go to the fish shop and go and get the rest of the fish to put in here. So my plan is I'm going to get some rainbow shiners, and I'm also going to get some American flagfish. So let's go down to the local fish shop and we'll see what they've got. These are the beauties themselves. These are rainbow shiners, currently in their lovely summer breeding conditions. So you can see the really nice, bright, vibrant blues coming through, and the really nice bright reds from the females in there. So yeah, so the males get the blues on them, females that sort of like really bright reds. But yeah, there's such a striking fish. I'm thinking a good sized shoal in here because these are going to be the centerpiece fish of this pondscape. So yeah, a good sized shoal of these, and yeah, I'll see if they've got any American flagfish as well. So I've got the guys down here at my local aquatic shop to bag me up a good mixture of males and females of the rainbow shiners. It's striking colours on them. Yeah, I really can't wait to see what they'll look like in natural sunlight. But yeah, we'll go hunting for some American flagfish. They did say they've got some in, so I'll go and see if I can find some. And here they are in here. It's a bit hard to tell which ones they are from the energetic rosy barbs that they have in here, as well as the garroofers. But yeah, the little fish down at the back with the sort of like really green purling scales on them, they're the American flags. But here's a better look at them. So I've got them to basically get the rest of them out. I think there's only about 5 left in the tank, so I decided to buy them all. Why not? Keep them together. They'll make a great addition to the pond, and I think we'll get them home and we'll see what they look like. So I'm back home now, and these guys have been floating in here for a good half an hour. So yeah, they should be fully temperature acclimated, and I think it's time that we get them put in. So I'll just fish these out, and I'll speed up the process, and I'll let you see a closer look once we've got them in the pond. So as you can see, they're just settling in at the moment, but oh my god, they are absolutely so striking already. The blues and the males are absolutely just catching the sun just right. They're glinting and glistening, like they just stand out so well in this setup. And yeah, I just can't wait to see how they improve colour-wise as they settle in, really. I mean, they're just such an amazing fish. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave them to settle in a little bit longer, you know, without me and the cameras and everything just like hovering over. And yeah, I'll come back either in a bit or probably tomorrow, and we'll see how they're looking once they've settled in a bit. So thank you to those of you who have made it this far. Granted, it was a very long cinematic, but I've just fallen in love with these fish so much that I basically just filming them and filming them and filming them for the next couple of days as they were just finding their way in here. I just find them such a striking fish, and they've just settled in so well. Even the American flags, I mean, they're all sort of like merged together into one big group. The swordtails sort of keep to themselves, really, but these guys are just so bold and active and just swimming around catching flies on the surface, or little ants and things as they drop onto the water. It's just amazing to sit and observe. And as you saw in the last clip as well, we've got a few baby swordtails knocking about, so that's a great sign of things to come. I'm sure there'll be more knocking around. I counted about 4 so far, but as I say, there will be more knocking around. It's so heavily planted in here that you're just not going to get away from it. And there we go. I hope you've enjoyed the recap of how this pond came from just an idea into a fully fledged eco pond. And I can honestly say I have absolutely loved every single minute of it. It's really been sort of one of these projects where when I'm outside, I absolutely love. I can't help but go and look at it. It just draws you in every single time you see it. Yeah, obviously during the winter it does have its sort of like winter rest. Don't really pay much attention to it. It just sort of sits there lying dormant. But then come spring, the plants start springing back, and it's just fun to watch the plants grow as well. Like they keep coming back every single year. And I should probably come clean on the fact that I did take the swordtails out, and I tried to take as many of the American flagfish out as I possibly could. But I could only find 3 of them out of the 5. I didn't take the shiners out. Now, it might be a bit unethical to say, but I was basically just doing a little bit of an experiment, because I've done a lot of research on where these fish naturally come from in the wild, and it seems that they have quite a cold area during their winter. Like America does get pretty cold, and I was just thinking to myself, well, they've been out during the whole summer and they will have naturally cooled down to our winter temperatures. Now, I live in Sheffield, which is sort of in the north of England, so we're sort of like bang smack in the middle, really. And it does get pretty cold here during the winter, but like not as cold as, like, say, up in Scotland. And I just thought, let's see if they'll actually like make it through the winter, because it'd be great to see if that could possibly be a thing. And if so, I'm going to keep them outside all year round. And I can honestly say they've made it. They've been absolutely fine. I've not brought these in for the past 2 years. They've been outside during freezing cold snow temperatures, ice, fluctuating cold during the spring months where it's gone really hot, really cold, and they've been absolutely fine. I haven't lost one. Um, and to my surprise, the American flags, they went through a whole spell of uh, ice weather where it was really cold, but unfortunately, the last two that I obviously didn't get out because I couldn't find them, um, they they were fine through the ice, but the period where it was going sort of hot and cold every other week, they clearly didn't like that, and unfortunately, I did lose the last two. But I haven't added any more back since. I've just kept it as the rainbow shiners for the past sort of year and a half, really. And I've honestly say I've actually loved it just being them. There's been a lot more blanket weed since I haven't had the uh, swordtails and the American flags in there, but I kind of think it looks natural. It just looks like a really sort of natural river, lake, pond. So I've just left it as that. I did debate because there is a different type of shiner called the red shiner, which is sort of a blue in body, like a powder blue, and has a lovely bright pink head as well as little bright pink fins. It's almost really the opposite of the rainbow shiner. It's sort of the opposite colours round, and they come from the same area. So I did debate adding them in this year, but I thought with the size of the pond, it is a little bit small to have sort of two large shoals of fish, and I am debating. I will add um, the red shiners in, but I'm thinking I'm going to give these guys a little bit of a bigger space come when I get the new house, and I think I'll make it a little bit more of open swimming space as well, because when I trim the plants back, they seem to be a little bit more active than when the plants are sort of really overgrown and jungly. So yeah, I think I'm going to give them quite a large area of sort of open swimming space. But yeah, they've thrived in this pond. Now I don't know necessarily if they have spawned. Um, it's possible, but I haven't actually taken anything out and counted how many I put in there. Originally, I think it was about 10 or 12. So obviously, we'll see if there's any more uh, comes out when I come to stripping this down. We know that they have bred, but it would be nice if they do spawn. And I've seen the red shiners, in particularly in aquariums. They're quite easy to spawn in comparison to the rainbows, so probably will be quite nice if I can get them to spawn, and we'll have like sort of a breeding colony. But yeah, it, they've been absolutely fine for the past 2 years, and I was really shocked by that. And yeah, I think they'll be really great to just keep outside all year round. I've debated adding some to my grandparents' pond because they've got a large fish pond that's got koi, goldfish, tench, everything like that. So yeah, I have debated sort of adding some smaller fish. They are sort of like minnow size, so I think they will be absolutely fine. Their pond is heavily planted as well, so yeah, I think that they will be a great addition to pop into their pond as well. Um, but we'll see. For now, I'm just gonna stick doing my own little eco ponds. As I say, I'm going to upgrade these to, I believe it's like a 500 litre pond, so it's about 5 times, yeah, well, just under 5 times the size of this particular pond, so I think that'd be quite nice for them. Great choice of plants to go in there, a lot more hardscape, and we can give them quite like, so, you know, if I do like half the pond planted, and leave sort of like a big area of open foreground, I think that'd be quite nice. My other plans that I've had is to do sort of like a UK native pond, get hold of some sticklebacks and some minnows. I think that'd be quite a nice one to do. I do have a large pond, so I did debate, we could even do like more coarse fishing there. Maybe do like the same again, minnows and sticklebacks, but have like tench, rudd, fish like that are a bit larger, but would also be a nice addition to have in there. The possibilities are endless. I've also debated doing like obviously I've done this one in America, but doing like an Asian pond with like mountain minnows and bitterlings and things like that. I thought that might be a quite nice alternative as well. Especially in the smaller pond, I thought mountain minnows might look quite nice. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, the possibilities are absolutely endless in what we can do. I've also had the idea of maybe doing like a Dutch style aquarium, but do it in a pond. So use like lots of different oxygenators and layer it up and do like a Dutch style pond, as such, like a Dutch style aquascape, but in a pond. I thought that might be quite nice because a lot of the pond oxygenators do stay around all year, so that might be quite nice to have. But yeah, we'll see. Let me know in the comments down below what you think would be a good idea to start with, and we'll just keep adding to them as much as I can. Obviously, my finances are going to be a little bit more stretched now. I've got a house to pay for, but I will keep working at it, and I've got a lot of pond plants that I can take from this pond, as well as ones that I have got, like marginal plants that I've got growing in the garden, as well as my grandparents' pond has absolutely loads of plants that I can steal a few cuttings from, so setting them up is not going to be a problem. As always, they don't have filters or anything as such, so it is literally just going to be the plants in there that do the filtering, so yeah, we can get all that sorted, not a problem. But yeah, this will be getting stripped down probably after I move. I'm going to wait till sort of like mid-spring. Just going to leave it at my parents' house, and I'm only moving 5 minutes down the road, so it's not going to be hard to strip it down and take everything in one go. But that's my plan. I'm just going to leave it till we get to the warmer weather. It'll be a bit more safer to transport the fish then, as well as some of the plants then should have started coming back, so it'll be a lot better to start replanting them whilst they've got a bit of growth to it, rather than in their die back winter form. So yeah, I think that'd be the best course of action with the pond. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this pond has turned out, and I will be sad to take it down. But I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed making it and enjoying it as well. So I really hope that you have enjoyed the setup, and I hope that it sparked some interest in creating your own eco pond. And obviously, now that you know rainbow shiners can survive in the UK temperatures, obviously if you live further south than Sheffield, or very local to Sheffield, you will know they will be absolutely fine. I can't say any further north how they may fare, but I can't see why not. Give it a try. The worst comes to worst, you'll just have to bring them inside during the winter months and put them back out during the summer. But again, you'll get to enjoy them a little bit longer than I do. I get them during the spring and summer. You'll be able to get them all year round, so there is always possibilities to do that. If not, you could always set an eco pond up and put fish in that will survive. As I say, UK natives such as sticklebacks and minnows, great little intriguing fish, and they will survive all year round. So there's always something to do, but having a pond that works on just a little solar pump for a bit of a water feature, but necessarily it is filtered by the plants, and the fish have thrived. So I would definitely urge you, if you're wanting something to do this summer, set an eco pond up, get some fish in there, enjoy your garden just that little bit more, and connect with nature. But I'll leave you to the rest of the cinematics of the fish during this last summer. So this is summer 22. and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a like, leave a comment on what you would like to see in the future, and don't forget to share it with as many people as possible. And if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. There's going to be so many future projects coming, whether it's aquascaping, pondscaping, fish tours, fish shop tours, sorry. Um, I've got lots of projects in mind, and they will be coming thick and fast once all the moving in has gone. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Leave us a like, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye bye. Hi, baby.
right.